When do we start? The robotic voice asked. We will begin Wave 1 within the next few days. We'll gradually increase the number of clockwork forces in the city before we initiate your takeover, my lord, the man said to the hulking robot. Excellent. Soon this city will bow to the cold, calculating brutality that is the Clockwork King, the robot said, the dim light in the warehouse illuminating his gigantic form and the dome atop his giant form that housed his human brain. You've done well, Mr. Davies. I am pleased with your performance and loyalty, the robot said. Rick Davies smiled and bowed humbly toward the Clockwork King. It's my pleasure, my lord. I will continue to keep the heroes in my charge from meddling in your affairs, he said. See that you do. We can't afford any mistakes this close to our goal, the Clockwork King said. Rick bowed again to the Clockwork King and left the warehouse, making sure not to be seen leaving the clandestine meeting. Jessica knocked on the door of apartment 415, Hannah's apartment. She tapped her foot nervously and waited for the door to open. The door finally opened and Jessica laughed out loud when she saw Hannah standing before her dressed like a mother from the 50s. She had a long red and white checkered apron on, and her hair was done in a very retro style. What? Hannah asked, placing her hands on her hips. Nothing, Mrs. Cleaver. Can the beaver come out to play? Jessica said with a giggle. Hannah laughed. Too much? She asked. No, it's perfect, Jessica said and walked into the apartment. Jessica marveled at how large the apartment was. It was nearly twice the size of her own, and was furnished with many ultra-modern conveniences, quite the contradiction to Hannah's current garb. Have a seat anywhere you like, I'm almost finished with my cookies, and then we can sit and have a talk, Hannah said and scurried off to the kitchen. Jessica removed her coat and draped it over the back of the couch. She walked around it and took a seat, sinking into its plush softness. She noticed a wealth of baby items in the corner on the other side of the living room, and felt her heart begin to beat faster. Hannah came from the kitchen a moment later with a tray of cookies and 2 large glasses of milk. All right, I hope they taste as good as they smell, she said with a smile, setting the tray down on the coffee table and handing Jessica her glass of milk before taking a seat next to her on the couch. Jessica took a cookie and bit into it, the chocolate chips melting in her mouth. She savored the warmth and flavor for a moment before taking a sip of the cool milk. I'm glad you came, Hannah said with a smile and a bite of her own cookie. Jessica nodded and swallowed her cookie. Me too, if only for the cookies and the company, she said. So, how does this work? She asked nervously. Well, the best way is to just dive right in, Hannah said, placing a hand on Jessica's knee. Do you need a change? She asked sweetly. Jessica's head began to swim. She was suddenly at ease and yet still conflicted. She felt good about the whole thing, but was still unsure if it was right for her. I guess Mommy will just have to check for herself, Hannah said and made a move to undress Jessica. Wait, Jessica said, finally finding her words. What's wrong? Hannah asked, and stopped her progression. Jessica sat quietly for a second, and then looked Hannah in the eyes. I'm messy, she said, her face flushing crimson. Hannah sat for a second looking Jessica in the eyes. Well, then, we better get to work, she said with a smile. Hannah stood up and put out a hand for Jessica. She helped her up, and then surprised Jessica by picking her up and placing her on her hip. Jessica smiled and rested her head on Hannah's chest and let her carry her to the bedroom, and to a new world.